DIY Photography's coverage of IBC 2022 is sponsored by Sennheiser, the future of audio, Sachtler, producer of professional tripods, and B&H, the professional source.
Hi, I'm Udi Tirosh with DIYPhotography.net, and we're right here in the Sennheiser booth again from IBC 2022, and I'm here with Simon from Sennheiser. And Simon, you know what I'm going to ask, right?
I probably know, yes.
What is the microphone that's going to cover everything that I need?
To be honest with you, Udi, it's a very good question. Realistically, it really depends on what you're going to do with the microphone, the type of working environment. You know, there's lots of questions to be answered before you can really choose the right microphone. So I don't think there's any one microphone which is a fix-all for all scenarios. Yeah, you know, it depends really what you're going to do.
So I'm scrapping that dream away.
Okay.
But let me ask you, maybe I'll give you some scenarios of use cases, and you can help me pick the right microphone for them.
Yeah.
So I think, like, when you're starting out, maybe the easiest thing when you just start out, you know, I have a phone, I'm just starting out in the content creation business.
Yeah.
What microphone would I use?
One of the simplest ways to improve your audio, and it's the same for any microphone, is to get the microphone as close to the sound source as humanly possible. So obviously, if you're shooting on an iPhone and you're trying to pick up audio that's sort of like 5 or 6 feet away, or you're trying to video yourself, then obviously you're removing yourself from the microphone that's actually on the phone or whatever itself. So a solution for that, or a very simple solution, is a lavalier style microphone that plugs into your phone, and that you put this on. You see this on newsreaders and so on and so forth, and clip it onto your chest here. And this means the microphone is very close to the sound source, so it almost guarantees you're going to get decent audio or very clear audio.
It's what they call a neck mic.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a very simple solution, not expensive, and it will instantly improve the audio that you're capturing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How about if I need to talk to someone maybe a little further away, or if I'm not recording myself, I'm doing an interview, I want to get the answers from the other person?
Yeah, sure. I mean, then you move into other areas of what we call small shotgun microphones. We have a couple for that particular scenario. The first of which is the MKE200, which is a very compact device. So, you know, it doesn't fill your kit bag or anything like that, because often you're having to take all this equipment around with you.
It's actually smaller than just the head of
it is.
This microphone.
It's very small, isn't it? It's very small and compact, very easy to use. So literally you have a phone clamp, or it has a hot shoe mount which you can put onto a camera. You plug it in.
That's a USB-C.
That's a USB-C
cable?
connector on there, but there's also 3.5mm as well, so you can connect it to different devices. And this is a directional mic, and basically you see a lot of mics on cameras where you need to isolate the microphone from the camera so you don't get any noise coming or movement. And you see that on the outside of most microphones.
Like a red
with elastic bands or whatever.
Yeah.
But we designed this so the actual suspension is inside, so the windshield actually houses suspension inside. So it just gives a much neater solution, a more compact solution.
It definitely looks nicer.
Yeah, absolutely. And you haven't got to worry about all the parts putting it together and clipping the mic in. It's literally a run and gun microphone.
And if I want to maybe have a little bit more budget, I want to grow up from that microphone.
Sure.
Is there anything that I can do?
There is, yeah. The logical step from there is the MKE 400. So as you can see, you have to pull the cable out here. It's a little bit larger, a little bit longer, but you also have other useful functionality on this microphone. It has a headphone jack, so you can actually monitor the audio directly from the microphone itself, so you can ensure that you're getting good quality audio going into the camera.
I mean, if we're going back to our discussion from yesterday, then maybe the HD25 would be a good fit for it?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely perfect option for this. Yeah, and you also have other functions like gain on here, so you can actually alter the gain of the microphone. And you have a really useful function on here which is low cut filter. So basically if you're in an environment that's got quite a lot of background noise, and particularly sort of air conditioning units or anything like that in the background, you can just switch over, and what it does is it rolls off the lower frequencies, so you don't get this sort of like hum in the background, and so again it improves your audio greatly. Both these microphones come with a windshield as well, an extra windshield. So if you're outdoors in particularly windy conditions, then obviously you can pop this on, and that will reduce the amount of wind noise you're getting.
You did talk about gain control, and I wonder what does it do?
Yeah, basically, different devices have different audio inputs, and so effectively you need to get the level of the microphone at the best level going into the device you're using. So if you're using it with a phone, then you'll probably use a lower input. If you're using it with certain cameras, you'd want a higher input.
So here it can actually adapt the microphone to be the best that it possibly can
be.
For
across
device.
different devices. Yeah, absolutely.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, moving away. That's enough content creation. I think we understand the big picture. But maybe for someone like me who's doing a little bit of commercial work, a little bit of trade show coverage, am I using the best possible solution for me, or is there something else?
I think you're probably using one of the best microphone systems for this type of scenario, particularly when you're sort of travelling around and things like that, because the AVX system, one, it's very simple to use. It's very compact, so the receiver's very small. We can actually see it over here. And so, again, it doesn't take up a lot of room in your kit bag. It also operates on 1.9 gigahertz rather than 2.4, which means you're much less susceptible in this environment to interference from Wi-Fi and things like that. You have a selection of handheld microphone, or if you don't want to sort of interview style, you're doing a piece to camera, you can have a lavalier microphone and a belt pack.
We actually have.
You have both, yeah. Well, you need it for both sort of scenarios, yeah, absolutely. So it is, and the other thing is, it's very simple to use because you just pair the microphone and the receiver. You haven't got to think about sort of frequency selection because of the country you're in, and that's one of the issues you have with UHF microphones. They're very geographically sort of tied because different countries have different rules about what frequencies you can use. With the AVX system, you haven't really got to worry about that.
So I'm going to recap just to make sure that I understand, right? Yeah. So if I need a public domain frequency, I go with 2.4.
Yes.
If I need a public domain frequency that is less noisy, I go with 1.9. It's DECT, right?
It's DECT technology.
Yep. Yeah. And if I want to be absolutely sure, then I go with UHF.
Yeah.
And
but
then
UHF is obviously the most stable, but you have to utilize fixed frequencies, and those frequencies change dependent on the region you're in. So if you're only shooting in one country, then UHF is definitely the answer for you. If you're traveling around or touring, you've bought a UHF system, you might travel to another country and find out you can't use it. So this is one of the limitations of UHF. You don't have that with 1.9 and you don't have that with 2.4. But the only issue with 2.4 gigahertz systems is the fact that it's used by a lot of other systems, so Wi-Fi and everything else. So if you get into a hostile environment such as this, we're at a trade fair, there's so much Wi-Fi around, there is a chance that will affect a 2.4 gigahertz wireless system.
It's not just Wi-Fi. We were at some of the video transmission booths.
Yes.
And if they're doing on 2.4, they're overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, they're using a huge amount of the 2.4 spectrum, to transmit video. So so you don't stand a chance really.
Okay, I think maybe the last scenario that I want to talk about is about, and it's very common if you're doing more relaxed kind of sit-down interviews.
Sure.
Then what are my options there?
Sure. I mean, other than a wireless handheld, I mean, if you want to use, you don't want a mic in the scene or anything like that, then you could go to something like the MKE600, which is a wired microphone. Now, quite often you'll see these overhead, so you have somebody with a boom pole with a microphone, and effectively they hold it overhead, so it's not in shot. So it gives you that sort of very clean-looking interview scenario. And this is the MKE600 here. So you can have it mounted on your camera as a very directional microphone for picking up people talking to the camera. But if it's like you and I doing an interview, this microphone could actually be on a boom up above our head up here, out of shot, and it gives a nice clean look to the actual interview scenario.
Thank you for that. I've also seen interviews where they're putting a lav on each person. So how would that work?
Yeah, basically, quite often they're using a wireless microphone system. One of the most common ones in that scenario is the G4 Evolution system. So you have a body pack, a transmitter. This is the model over here. And they have the lavalier microphone. So you put the lavalier microphone, that transmits back to the camera. And so it means, you have a lot of freedom and flexibility to move around, so on and so forth. So yeah, absolutely, that would be an ideal choice.
I understand. I know that the G4 systems are, they're kind of like an industry standard, but they're also quite pricey.
Yeah.
Going back to the beginning of our discussion, if I still want to use wireless lavalier, are there options for me on the more entry level?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a sort of entry level system, a mid tier, and a high tier. So depending on what your budget is, what you're actually doing. So the entry level for us is the XSWD, which you can see here, which again is a very compact system, very easy to use. You don't have to be an audio specialist. You just press the buttons on the transmitter and receiver, they pair, the frequency selection's done for you, and as soon as the lights go green, you're good to go, and then you have your lavalier microphones and the receiver on the camera, and it's as simple as that.
And they would also go like into the phone, either mounted or...
They can, yeah, absolutely. You've got various options in that range to plug them onto microphones, like handheld microphones, lavaliers, whatever you want. So yeah, it's a really flexible system.
And I'm seeing one last microphone that we haven't talked about yet. That's the MD42. So
Absolutely.
I don't know what I'm just wondering what's it for.
Yeah, MD42 is quite an iconic microphone, particularly for interview scenarios. Obviously, it's a wired microphone, but within the Evolution series, we do have a plug-on transmitter. So you plug the mic onto that, and then that turns the iconic sort of interview mic into a wireless microphone. So again, lots of flexibility.
So Simon, even though you shuttered my dream of buying just one microphone and have it handle all my needs,
yeah.
I'm really glad that we have this talk, and I hope that for you it helps you to select your next microphone. Simon, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Judy.
You can actually win the G4 system in the giveaway that we're doing here at IBC 2022, and I'm going to leave the link in the description below. We're going to keep walking the floor and bringing more news and interesting things from IBC 2022. I'm Udi Tirosh with DIYPhotography.net, and I'll see you in the next video.